You're listening to the Infinite Banking Mastery Podcast. Did you know that you could build a tax-free pool of wealth that's liquid and accessible all your life while building your retirement nest egg? Gain full control of your financial future and stop relying on the government and banks. The wealthy have already discovered this wealth-building secret. Now it's your turn to get financially secure without following the conventional wisdom that keeps you in debt to banks. Now here's your host, Valerie LaRoque.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Infinite Banking Mastery Podcast. Hope you're doing great. I also hope that you can't hear all of the loud lawnmowers and such that are going on outside of my window by neighbors. People are out there doing their yard work because it's beautiful here in Washington. Everybody's excited. So hopefully it's not too loud while I give this podcast. But today I wanted to talk about retirement income. The different streams you can have in your retirement income later on when you're ready to leave that workplace or start up a passive income. And just, I want to make sure people are thinking about the tax implications, like what kind of taxation will you have with these different types of income? Because a lot of people, I think, are so focused on just building up that retirement income and the more common ways that everybody kind of knows about, like, the regular IRAs, 401ks, things like that, and aren't thinking so much about the risk of the taxation. Like, what are you actually going to be able to keep from those accounts once they are taxed? So I thought I would go into this topic and just kind of go over the different types of income. That's where we'll start. Again, I mentioned before, pension income. A lot of you don't have pension income because that's a dying thing. Not a lot of companies have pensions anymore. But for those of you who do, pensions are awesome. It's a great source of retirement income. It definitely provides a steady stream of income and will provide income through your life and if you elect a spouse, and also through your spouse's life. So it will pay through two lives. What pensions are super great for is that they will be guaranteed to pay income through your life and through your spouse's life if you choose to add your spouse. And so that guarantee that you cannot outlive that income, that's what's super awesome about pensions. Now, when you're receiving that pension income in your retirement years, that income will be taxable just like your income in your working years. So there's not going to be any change there. It's going to be taxed just exactly the same. And in some states, you have state income tax, and in some states, you don't. But before I go any further, I just want to say, because this is always important for me to state, is that I am not a CPA. I am not a tax attorney. For any specific tax questions or anything like that, you would want to see a tax professional. For anything like that, I'm kind of just giving a high-level overview just to kind of get your wheels turning and thinking about how your money will be taxed when you're in your retirement years, the money and the resources you've been saving up for those passive income years. The next type of income I'll go over is just Social Security income. Now, there's a lot of talk right now about Social Security income and concerns about it. Before President Trump went into office, I know there was talk of having to maybe reduce current Social Security income to people who were currently receiving it, maybe down about 25% or so. I don't have the 100% facts on that, but I know they were talking about maybe having to reduce it, which hopefully wouldn't happen for many of those people who depend heavily on that Social Security. But if Social Security were to continue as is, like it is now, of course, that's just like it acts like another pension. It's very much like a pension. It will continue paying until you pass away. And if your spouse passes away before you basically get the higher of the two Social Security incomes. They're adding on the difference onto yours, but it's basically that you will end up with the higher of the two. But that's something to keep in mind too, is that a lot of times couples are preparing and thinking about their future and the two Social Security incomes. But when one passes away, then that's one Social Security income gone. So you want to make sure you're thinking about what you would do in that situation. And that's, of course, where life insurance would come in handy. If you're losing one Social Security payment, at least you have your life insurance to help the surviving spouse. Now, those of you that are getting close to Social Security or maybe just have an understanding of it in general, you know that you can take Social Security early at age 62. Your benefits will be permanently reduced if you do so. You will receive your full retirement benefits at full retirement age, which will depend on what year you were born. somewhere between age 66 and 67. Or you can also refrain from taking your Social Security at full retirement age. Your Social Security will then grow by 8% per year until you reach age 70. So that's one way to make sure you'll have a higher payment in your retirement years. A lot of people, of course, don't want to wait that long or need to turn it on because that's their main source of retirement income. But I just thought that I would mention that. Also, it is possible for up to 85% of your Social Security benefits to be subject to federal income tax if your combined income exceeds certain thresholds. Just depends. Now, thinking about retirement accounts such as 401ks, IRAs, Roth IRAs, and annuities, they all allow you to accumulate your wealth tax deferred until you begin withdrawing funds. Accounts such as 401ks and IRAs and 403bs, accounts like that, they will be taxable at your ordinary income tax rate when you retire. So whatever income tax brackets you're in, you're going to be taxed accordingly when you start taking withdrawals from those accounts. Just like your paycheck, whatever you bring home with your paycheck or with your income right now, your current income, it's going to be taxed in the same way once you retire. And that's one thing that I've mentioned multiple times in this podcast. A concern to me is having a lot of your savings dollars in these tax-deferred accounts that will be taxable later on because we don't know what those tax rates are going to be. We just know we have a lot of debt as a nation and we have a lot of things that we're paying for. I know that there's some restructuring going on right now that a lot of people are upset about. But that still is, we still have a lot to pay for. We still have a lot of debt. And so the only way the government makes money is to tax us. And so in addition to the volatility of the market that you endure in these accounts, you also have the tax rate risk because we don't know what your tax rate's going to be later. And it could end up being higher than it was when you were working. And so if your tax rate ends up being higher, then you would end up paying more in taxes at that later time than you would had you just paid the tax and put the money in something else that isn't tax deferred. Keep in mind, too, that with these types of accounts, you will have RMDs, which are required minimum distributions. They have pushed that age up to age 73 now, so you wouldn't be required to take distributions until age 73, but then you're required to take a certain amount. There's a calculation the government requires you to take each year to spend it down, to start spending it down. You know, they've been waiting a long time for that tax money. They need you to start spending it, withdrawing it so that they can have their tax money. The RMD penalty used to be 50%. They've brought that down to 25%. Super nice of them. And possibly maybe even down to 10% if your RMD is, if you missed it, you didn't take it, and you correct it within 2 years, it's possible to get that penalty down. But that's just another thing to be aware of. You're going to have to take required minimum distributions, whether you like it or not. Now, moving on to Roth IRAs, I think that those are better because you'll be able to access the earnings inside of those income tax free in your retirement years as long as you follow those guidelines. There are some rules to be able to access that income tax free. But if you take the money under age 59 and a half, then your earnings will be taxable and there will be a 10% penalty on the earnings that you withdraw from your Roth IRA. So you certainly don't want to touch it until you are in your retirement years. Of course, there are exceptions where you could access the money in the Roth IRA or other IRA accounts, such as first-time home buying or disability. There is a list of exceptions, but otherwise, you would want to wait till you're 59 and a half so that you don't have to worry about any penalties or anything like that. Although there is also a rule where you would want to have your Roth IRA account open for at least 5 years before you make any withdrawals of any earnings so that they're not taxable. So you'd want to make sure you look into any rules before you take distributions from those accounts. I'm just kind of giving a very high level overview. Moving on to annuities. I talked about this recently. Annuities provide a guaranteed income stream, much like a pension or Social Security, which is obviously can be very attractive for retirees that are seeking that financial stability, because it's great to be able to have an income that you can depend on, that you know will be there every month, and that is guaranteed to outlive you. Your annuity can be taxed as ordinary income, or it could be partially excluded from taxes. It just depends on how you funded the annuity, with what dollars. Did you roll like an IRA into it? Then it will be fully taxable when it's time to take the money. Or did you roll a Roth IRA? Or maybe you just started it with your own dollars. So there are some different scenarios on how that will be taxed. You also could have income from rentals, rental properties, which would be a part of your gross income, or any income from investments in the market might be taxable as ordinary income, or could be taxable as long-term gains, which is a more favorable tax rate. Many retirees will actually have to keep working, do some sort of part-time work. Just keep in mind that this could cause Social Security benefits to be taxable. So ultimately, just about everything will be taxed in some way when you're pulling that income in your retirement years. The only two ways where you will receive income tax-free or your withdrawals will be tax-free are from Roth IRA or life insurance. And of course, just to say again, there are some rules for making sure your earnings come out of your Roth IRA income tax-free. And when I say withdrawals from your life insurance policy, there are certain ways we're withdrawing that money to be able to ensure you can receive it income tax-free throughout your life. But that's why I'm such a big proponent for having diversified your money in such a way that you will have access to an account that will be income tax-free in your retirement, because mostly everything else will be taxable and taxable at your current rate, whatever that is at your retirement age at that future time. Also, another thing I thought I'd mention, you could also do a Roth conversion, that is converting a regular IRA or funds from a 401k to an IRA, and then you can move it to a Roth IRA. You can convert that to kind of take care of some of that tax liability. Right now, while the majority of our industry feel that taxes are on sale, you'd have to pay those taxes now, but you just want to be aware and be cognizant of the fact that moving a lot of that or converting a lot of it at one time could cause you to go into another tax bracket, which might cause you to have higher taxes on that money when you're rolling it over into a Roth IRA. Also, you're going to want to use outside dollars to pay those taxes. Otherwise, the money that you use within your current IRA to pay taxes would have the 10% penalty applied, unless you're over age 59 and a half. So if you have those outside accounts, those tax-deferred IRAs or 401ks, combining withdrawals from those taxable accounts with tax-free accounts can optimize your tax situation. And that's where life insurance policies, they come in handy, because now you can pull out less from your taxable account to keep your tax rate low, and then subsidize that with some money from a tax-free account. If you have that tax-free pool of cash, it can only help you. It gives more options. If your market accounts happen to be down in that year and you need to pull income, you can switch over and pull income from your life insurance instead, so that you don't have to cause your market account to tank even further or even faster. Being able to access policy cash values, whether in retirement or all throughout your life while you're building your wealth, is a solid win. Having an account that comes with guaranteed growth, dividends, all sorts of other benefits, an account where you can use to finance the things you need all throughout your life, access income tax-free all of your life, and in retirement, use the funds, pay it back, recycle that money over and over and over, and then just use it again in retirement, while having complete control of any loans all throughout your life. So you can choose how you're going to pay it back all at once, over time, interest only. Of course, we will always tell you to pay yourself back with interest, but you do have complete control. What could be better? And this is why this is the primary location of where I store all of my savings dollars, whether for emergency savings, for vacation, savings for other things that I plan to do in the future, for children's college, for retirement. I use my IBC accounts, my whole life policies rather, for all types of saving. And whether you feel you should do the same or not, I would just suggest that you don't have all of your retirement savings in fully taxable accounts if you can help it. You may have already built it up to that point, and maybe you're already close to retiring and that's just already what you have. But if you're still building, I would say try to diversify it some more and have some accounts where you can access money income tax-free. We don't know where Uncle Sam will move the tax rates next, and we don't want to be trapped with a whole bunch of our money in accounts where we have no say over how much we're going to have to pay in taxes. And you may think you're going to be able to pull a certain income stream or distribution from those accounts, and then all of a sudden Uncle Sam raises your tax rate, and now you're going to have to take less, and you're no longer working, and it can be very detrimental to your retirement years. So again, I'll just say I am not a tax professional. I just wanted to share some of this information to help you think it through when it comes to your own planning for your own future. You definitely want to talk to a tax professional to really have an understanding of what makes sense for you and what tax rates and what taxes you're looking at for you with the accounts that you have in your future. But if you're feeling ready to start saving into a whole life contract to lock in those guarantees, lock in those guaranteed interest rates, guaranteed loan rates, and be able to start building some wealth in a vehicle where you can access money income tax free. And if you'd like to partner with me as your advisor, feel free to reach out. You can reach me at Valerie@alphaomegawealth.com. I would love to meet you, look forward to talking with you about your specific situation and in what ways I might be able to help you. I otherwise hope you have a great week. Thank you so much for tuning in.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.